Hello, and welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to gather a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world, one character at a time. And it all starts with one thing, a deep understanding of human motivation, why people do what they do, and the forces that drive them. To gain that understanding, I am mining the intersection of psychology, theology, and philosophy to make you a better writer. This is episode 80, Writing with Emotion, how the book came about, the conclusion. Over several days, I've been telling the story of how I, a computer programmer, systems designer, mathematician, statistician, ended up writing a book on writing. And it was to help my niece, who found she could not accomplish writing because she only had fragments of time in which to work. So I set about trying to find a system that would enable her to meet the challenges of writing in small fragments of time. And where I left off, I had discovered that the virtues, as mentioned by Thomas Aquinas, and the positive character traits, as researched by positive psychology, were in fact one and the same thing. They were a unique set of commonalities. And furthermore, looking into the writings of St. Thomas Aquinas, he constantly refers to the philosopher, who is Aristotle, and they also line up with philosophy. So suddenly we have something, a point of amazing agreement between such diverse sources. This appeared to be a very, very rich vein of truth, and I began to gather character traits for the story that I was writing, my main hero character and some of the other characters. And I began gathering them, first of all, as a list, and it helped a lot. But when I took one last step and went from a list into a diagram, the whole picture came into play. Let me show you. I began with a listing of character traits on a file card, and I ended up with a diagram of character traits. What enabled the flat listing to turn into a diagram was the awareness of how much attention, mental attention, the character was capable of giving to the character trait. And I assigned various positions around this star-shaped diagram to represent the level of awareness of that trait for that character. The flat line across the middle, which gave 2 places, one on either side of that line, represented the zone of awareness, where the character was most aware of making a conscious decision to conform or not to conform to the character trait. As you went higher, these 2 positions, the character was not paying much of any attention to doing the right thing. It was just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And at the very tippy top, it was like way out of the conception of the character to even think about doing the thing. If you went in the other direction from the straight line, you went down into character traits that the character just did the right thing without thinking too much about it. And finally at the base trait, where you wouldn't think of doing anything but the right actions according to the character trait. The interesting thing about going from a list to a diagram is that suddenly you're employing the subconscious mind in a very wonderful way. The subconscious mind has the ability to remember emotions associated with locations. That's one of its prime functions. And now I had 8 locations to use to identify, well, what places I wanted my subconscious mind to remember. And each one of these words that I placed around those locations represented an emotional situation. It was the ideal setup for the subconscious mind to aid in the work. And indeed, I found that once I implemented that system, I could go from one writing session to another and immediately, just immediately, reconnect with the emotional state of my character. It had that power which made it the answer to my niece's problems. And I was able to present it to her in the form of a class. I created a 35-lesson class to completely explain all of these character traits, how to arrange them on a diagram, and what's more, I discovered that they also helped create the story arc. And it just kind of all fell out. It's a system. It's not how to write. You are the writer. I am just the creator of a tool, a handy tool. And it's now ready to come out in the form of a book. You can sign up right now for my early bird list. I expect it to be out in little more than a week, where you can order the book, and I'm making it available at my cost. No profit for me at all. I just want to get it into your hands. All I'll be asking you to do is cover the cost of printing and shipping the book, and you will have a complete summary of what was covered in that 35-lesson class on YouTube. If you prefer the 35 weeks, the course is still open on YouTube, and it's free. The book has a price tag. The course is free. So if money is a problem, take the course. It's 35 weeks. It's out there. It's on YouTube. Otherwise, if you want the shortcut version, I'm making the book available at cost. See you soon. Bye-bye.